our afternoon blocks, and we're here to find out what a lobbyist does today and maybe hear about some possible bills that are coming through that a 8th grade person might be interested in.
Excellent. I'm so excited to do this. My name is Rhonda Weaver. I'm a corporate lobbyist, which is, there's basically 3 types of lobbyists, is what I tell people who ask me what I do and how they could do it. There's a corporate lobbyist, and that's someone who's employed by a company and does advocacy on behalf of that company exclusively. There's what we call contract or multi-client lobbyists, and those types.
Just real quick, could you point the camera down? We're not really seeing, we're just seeing the ceiling.
Oh, that's better. Hi.
Hello.
I'm fine. They're fine until I'm fine. Okay. Okay, so.
I'm working on it.
All right. So I was telling you about the different kinds of lobbyists. The second type is a multi-client lobbyist, and they're the type of lobbyists who have their own business, and they represent all different types of companies or nonprofit agencies or grassroots types of groups. And they work on all sorts of different issues. And then there's the type of lobbyist that works for a state agency and just advocate for that state agency or for nonprofit types of groups. So do we have any questions there, or do you want me to just move on?
So there was a question about the third item that you brought up. If you could clarify that a little bit.
Well, so state agencies like the Department of Fish and Wildlife, the Department of Revenue, the Utilities and Transportation Commission, they have so many varied issues, budget issues, different types of laws that they need to update, that they usually have somebody that works right for the state agency that lobbies during the legislative session on behalf of that agency. And also not-for-profit groups like People for Puget Sound, who are environmental groups. They also usually have someone who does pro bono type of work for them, which means they lobby for free. Or sometimes they come up with enough funds to be able to hire a lobbyist to do that type of work. So you might be curious on who I lobby for. I lobby for the cable industry for Comcast Cable. I've been lobbying for them for about 14 years. And we have all sorts of varied interests that I work on that can be kind of fun. We also, Comcast owns NBC and Universal Studios. So I get to do a lot of work on behalf of that type of company, which is just a ton of fun. Any questions so far? No? So
some of the kids would ask for that you maybe repeat your name, because when we very first started, it was a little bit soft on this end. So that would be great.
Not a problem. My name is Rhonda Weaver.
Hi, Rhonda.
Hi.
Oh. How are you?
So have any of you put any thought into what kind of legislation you're interested in following and advocating for or against this year?
I can speak for my class. We haven't really had an opportunity to look at bills yet. As a teaching staff, we got together yesterday and picked, I think, a little less than 10 for the students to view. Some that we thought that would pique their interest that was heading in Olympia this session.
Okay. So there hasn't been as many bills this year dropped, which introduced that we usually have this time of the year. We expect more to come out in the next days. So there might be some more interesting ones that you might find. I went through the bill list yesterday. There's all sorts of fun things out there. There's a bill that I actually followed for my company, and that might be interesting. It's about marine unmanned aircraft or drones flying over marine life. That has already had a hearing. I don't know if we want to find something that hasn't or not.
You have a question about that? Okay. Then don't be doing that.
Okay.
Hi, my name is.
Hello. My name is Sonny Sky Bailey, and I'd like to know what kind of bills have been passed so far.
What kind of bills have been passed so far? We haven't
what
had.
kind of?
Are you asking if what kind of bills have been introduced so far?
Yeah.
Yeah. So just so that you're aware, no bills have been passed so far this session. They haven't. Right now, bills are just being introduced, and they're having their initial committee hearings over the past 2 weeks, and over the next week and a half to 2 weeks, they'll be hearing bills initially. This is going to be a very long session, so we'll have lots of time. But so far, there's been a lot of bills introduced on social issues like paid family leave, which means that when a worker has a family issue, that they're able to get time off, and employers have to pay them. There's been lots of things like that. There's been lots of things over time off that women can take when they have a baby, maternity leave. There's been lots of bills regarding the budget and education. Those are hard bills to crack because sometimes they don't get resolved until you're out of school. So,
Okay. Thank you for answering my question.
what kind of issues interest you?
What?
What kind of interest? What kind of issues are you interested in?
Honestly, I don't really know yet. I need to do a little bit of research and whatever.
Okay.
So, thank you, though.
Any other questions?
So I have a question. Are there any bills that you are unable to work on with the groups based upon who you work for?
Yes, there are. There are going to be some bills introduced at the end of the week regarding the telecommunications industry and what we call barriers to broadband, which are things like permitting and cost to access, the rights of ways, which are going to be pretty complex, and you may hear a lot about them, but I will not be able to I'm lobbying that for Comcast, so I wouldn't be able to follow that as part of this group. There are a couple taxation bills that we may be in conflict with, and there's also a bill regarding the film industry and tax credits that people who decide to film movies here would get that I'm working for, and so I wouldn't be able to lobby for that. And finally, there's one about how companies can use what we call biometric identifiers, which are data that companies collect, and I wouldn't be able to lobby on behalf of that. But for the most part, those are the only issues that I'm heavily involved in right at the moment. So you can pick anything else.
Hi.
Hi. What's your name?
My name is Elizabeth Lorna Buckner.
Nice to meet you, Elizabeth.
Nice to meet you too. I was wondering if there were any bills about animals' rights.
You know, I'm going to have to check. Not that I'm aware of now, but I could spend some time this afternoon going through the what we call the introduction sheet that has all the list of bills that legislators have introduced so far this session, and I can find out if there are any. That interests you?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let me see what I can find, and I'll email Ms. Lester as soon as I see if there are any, and I'll poke around the committees that would look at animal rights and see if they know of anything that may be coming out in the next week or so.
Okay, that's all.
Hi, my name is Josh Reamer. I don't know if you explained this, or if I didn't hear you, but like, what kind of lobbyist are you?
I'm a corporate lobbyist. I'm an employee of Comcast and NBC Universal.
Okay.
So I work for them.
Okay, so what kind of work around that kind of stuff do you do
I know.
mostly?
It's kind of funny that they have somebody like me, isn't it? I get asked that question a lot. So I follow a lot of stuff. There's a lot of laws that are being introduced regarding changing technology, like streaming types of video services like Netflix and Hulu and Amazon Prime versus my type of network, which is the cable, the old traditional cable network, and laws haven't kept up. So there's a lot of work around that. Also, my company has 120,000 employees, and so there's a lot of bills that are filed regarding how employers treat their employees that I follow. And also, we pay a lot of taxes every year on the various parts of our business, and there's a lot of tax work that I do, which is really boring and gets really contentious. It's fun.
Nice. Okay, thank you.
I have a question about a couple bills that I've heard about through
Okay.
the media. One is Governor Inslee has been involved with trying to repeal, I believe, the death penalty. And my colleagues and I were trying to find which bill, is it a House or Senate bill, and the number. We could not locate that yesterday, that specific bill. I don't know if you're familiar with that.
I am familiar with it. I'm not sure that it's been introduced yet. I've seen drafts floating around on campus. So let me look and see if it has. And if it hasn't, I'll check with the governor's staff and find out what the status of it is.
Okay. And the second one that got some media attention was a bill introduced where a parent would be able to bring cannabis into a public school, administer it medically, and then take it back home with them or wherever they store it. And just kind of curious, I guess, your thoughts about that and that particular bill.
Yeah, to be honest, I've seen there's a whole lot of bills floating around now regarding marijuana and the treatment of marijuana. And legal here such a short time that they're still tinkering with how everything works. And I'm not familiar with that particular bill, but I think that sounds really interesting and also a little bit contentious, which means that we may have some differing opinions among the classmates. So I would love to look that up. Let me check with committee staff and find out the status of that bill, and I can email you some details if that's one that you may want to consider.
Hi there, I'm Renee Wynn, and so you have two classes of 8th graders, so you've got probably about 60, at least 60 kids in the library.
Okay.
And so for next steps for us, we need to go through the bills and look at the bill digest and kind of decide some bills that the kids are interested in.
Yes.
And then would you like for us to have it narrowed down, like would you like between now and our next connection for us to kind of pick a bill and like have a majority vote on it? Or should we come back with like maybe 2 or 3 different bills we're interested in?
I like the idea.
What homework would you?
I like the idea of. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I was just wondering what homework you'd like for the kids to start doing.
Okay, so what I would love for them to do is take, if there's
Just
time.
1 second. Hey, you guys, I want you guys taking notes on this, okay? So make sure you're writing down what tasks that we're going to be doing for her. Okay,
So-
because, okay, just 1 sec. Okay, so obviously she is working, like, she's a lobbyist and she works for Comcast. So she works for them, but she is volunteer for time when she does connections with us. She's actually our lobbyist. We're going to pick a bill and she's going to work for us and try and help us go through the steps to get it passed. So she's going to give us a to-do list. Are you guys all ready to write down? Okay, we're ready.
Okay, so as you just heard, I'm going to be your lobbyist. You'll be my client. I'll take my direction from you. What I think would be great is if you take a look at the bills that have been introduced. I will email a link that I would like you to take some time every day to open up and look at, and that's the introduction sheet. That's the list of new bills that are introduced every single day. It would be great, and I just want you to do that until we pick a subject that we're going to follow. I will, once we narrow it down to, if you can narrow it down to 3 by our next connection, and if you could give me a day's lead time with a list of what you think, I could do a little research on those bills, because I'd really like us to find something that's viable. That means it's going to go through the whole process, either a Senate bill that will pass the Senate and make it all the way to the House, or a House bill that will make it all the way to the Senate. Or, just so that you can follow the process.
Okay, and then I was hoping if we got a list of a couple, you could help us kind of know if they're going to have kind of support on both sides, or if you see one and you think that's a great idea, but it's not feeling like it'll have support by both sides, Democrats, that, you might have a feeling if, yeah, this is a good bill, but it's going to die quickly. Because in the past when we've done this, we've, our goal is to pick a bill that we think we can get a long ways with. It's always, we've done capital classroom in the past and our bill died really early into it. And then
I don't want that to happen.
We didn't have anything to talk about because we had a bill that was dead.
So, I don't want that to happen because there's a lot of bills that are introduced that never even get a hearing. That,
right.
That are sometimes people introduce just to make a statement. So let's find a viable bill.
Okay, that sounds good. And so we will do, we'll get the kids on computers, researching bills, kind of reading the narrative about them, and do our homework. And then in the past, once we've picked a bill, we can be very diligent about getting evidence and researching and providing evidence for you. And our kids in the past have just been letter writers. They've gotten on and written letters to senators and representatives to try and get them to support it. And if we've known like when a meeting was happening, we've kind of been able to flood them like the day before a meeting. So
absolutely.
So we will work. Well, we'll be working hard. So
that's great. And actually, if we decide that I need to testify on a bill, I'll be asking for help writing my testimony. And
perfect.
And as my client, you'll all have to approve it. So that'll be fun.
Well, I just really appreciate it. I've really made it clear to the kids that you're really, really busy down in Olympia, and I'm sure you're meeting with us on your lunch break. So
not quite, but this is fun. This is my first time. I'm a little bit nervous.
It's okay, and we're just happy that we made the connection because we had some technology issues. We just moved into a brand new middle school during Christmas break, and our old middle school had horrible internet problems, and so we're just really happy that this came through, even though we came on late. I did want to let you know that our classes will be at the Capitol building for a field trip on March 15th, Wednesday, March 15th. And so it would be great if you had time, you could maybe work with the Enterprise Services is the company we're going through. And in the past, we've been able to meet our lobbyists. They've like come to the state reception room and met with us. It's just real. It's the kids. It's so much fun to talk with them over the FaceTime or the Google Hangout, and then be able to meet them on our field trip. That will be March 15th. We had a bell ring, but so they are off now to they go to PE or band, and so you guys, until next time, do you guys want to say thank you? Thank you. Okay, hey, I think that went well, and you did just fine. Do you know what I mean?
I'll send you a couple of emails with my dates that I have.
Okay.
For me, I'm on the campus every day, so
it's okay. Yeah, but we'll all get better at it. So, okay. I am just thrilled the connection went through. I was really stressed about it not happening because I know you guys booked that and that your time is valuable. So I'm just thrilled it went through. So, okay.
I just want to let you know that I'm a as well. I'm excited to get this.
Okay. All right. So we'll get these kids narrowed down on some topics.
Okay.
So I looked and seems like just a huge amount of bills are around marijuana.
There's a ton. So
a ton of them this year, which makes sense, but there are a lot. So which we're not opposed to tackling something like that. But we will we'll be emailing, and we'll really try and get the kids to narrow down some topics for you.
Okay. Sounds great.
So, and hopefully ones that have support on both sides. So, okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.